Our 2024-25 season previews continue on today with the St. Louis Blues. Oh man, the St. Louis Blues are one of those teams that has been in the mix, but just can't seem to make the playoffs the last two seasons. It's been a struggle for them. It has been. They would go through points where they would look really good. They would go through points where they'd be really bad. It's kind of been a roller coaster the last two seasons for this team. But let's start off in 2021-22, the last time they made the playoffs. They went 49, 22, and 11 for 109 points. They were ninth in the NHL in 2022. They made the playoffs. They made it to the second round, I think, actually. But they lost to the Colorado Avalanche. That seems like it's been their demise a lot the last few years. They will end up, going out to Colorado or going out to either Vancouver, and I think they got knocked out by Colorado in 2021 as well. So honestly, it's been a rough go of things for St. Louis in the playoffs the last couple of years since winning that Stanley Cup. But the last 2 years, they can't even make it in. They went 37, 38, and 7 for 81 points. They were 23rd in the NHL. They missed the playoffs. They had a pretty big drop-off. And that was a year for me that I thought the Blues just had like an absolute like roller coaster of a season. And I was like honestly in shock, like how like this team would win like 8 straight games, they would lose 8 straight games, they'd win 2, they'd lose 2. That's why they finished around 500, and they ended up never even being able to come close to the playoffs. So that was unfortunate. This past year though was a better year for them, but it was a bad first half and a pretty solid second half. But we know from experience, usually you don't make the playoffs when you do that. They went 43, 33, and 6 for 92 points. They were 16th in the NHL, so they were right up there. They were, I think, the team with the most amount of points to not make the playoffs. So they were up there. They were contending, but if it weren't for that slow start, they probably would have broke in. They made a couple moves this past offseason, moving out some of their old guys, bringing in a lot of question marks, to be honest, including 2 guys from an offer sheet we'll get into here. Their departures, Kevin Hayes, Sammy Blais, Calle Rosen, Jacob Vrana, and Marco Scandella. No big losses there. Kevin Hayes was more or less like a middle 6-forward, third-line player. The rest were guys that were in and out of the lineup in the NHL this past year, so honestly, not that big of losses. The guys they brought in some good pieces, but there's a few that I do have some questions about. They brought in Alex Texier, Radek Faksa, Matthew Joseph, Dylan Holloway, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, Philip Broberg, and Ryan Suter. So I think that there's a few moves there in the forward core that I do like. Texier, a little bit of a wild card move there. I think that they're hoping that he can have like a rejuvenant season with the Blues. You have Faksa, who will fit in well in like the third line role. I like that for him. Matthew Joseph, probably a bottom 6 player as well. Holloway will fit in good. He probably could get some top 6 time potentially. If not, he's probably going to be on the third line. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, Matthew Joseph's brother. I think what they're really trying to do here is put these 2 brothers together, and hopefully it'll like create some chemistry or something. I think that's kind of what they want to do. But we'll see if it works. I don't know. I can't think of times where that's worked before. I'm sure it has, though. You have Broberg as well, which is a good add to that blue line. And then Ryan Suter is getting paid by 3 teams currently. I was a little bit kind of shocked that he was still getting NHL jobs with St. Louis, because you get bought out twice. Like, come on, you don't really get jobs after that. You shouldn't, at the very least. But hey, Ryan Suter, very experienced. He's been in the NHL for a long time, so maybe St. Louis is the right fit for him. Let's look at this team's projected lineup, because it's not great, but it's not bad either. It's good, I guess you could call it. Top 6, Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou is your first line. Then you have Jake Neighbors, Braden Shen, and Zachary Bolduc. Wow. That is a prospect who has been in their system for a little bit. I think he played a couple games up last year, though, for them. So, a little bit surprising there. I didn't think he'd get, like, top 6 minutes right away. But when you look at the Blues' right wing side, it's Kyrou, and then it's pretty weak from there. So I guess that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But Boldu, we'll see if he has an impact with this team. I do like that, though. It's a pretty good top 6. I think Neighbors will take a step this year. I like Buchnevich on the contract he just signed. Kyrou and Thomas both underrated. And then, of course, Braden Shen's your captain. It's a pretty good top 6. Your bottom 6, Dylan Holloway, Radek Feksa, and Matthew Joseph as your third line. Then you have Alex Texier, Oscar Sundquist, and Alex Toropchenko as your fourth line. Then you have Sammy Walker, I think, or Nate Walker, Nikita Alexandrov, and Kasperi Kapanen as some extra depth. So the bottom 6, I think that's a solid third line. However, it's all new guys. So you're really like relying on that line to hopefully try and like mesh together, and maybe that will have an impact, but we'll see how that line can do. The fourth line's not that bad. I like Texier in a fourth line role, maybe playing that way. Always had a rough go of things. Definitely had to take a year off because of personal issues. So definitely someone who I hope will have a good year in St. Louis. I like Sundquist at that fourth line center slot. It's overall a pretty solid forward core. The defense, I have some questions. I do. I think that there's a few things that kind of make me, I don't know. First pairing, Scott Perunovich and Colton Parayko. It's your first pairing. Second pairing, Philip Broberg and Justin Falk. Third pairing, Nick Leddy and Ryan Suter. And then you have Per-Oliver Joseph as your extra defender. So, and I also want to mention, too, that Torrey Krug is hurt. So you're wondering, like, where's Torrey Krug? He is out for the season. So that will have a little bit of an impact on what this team can do, for sure. Missing one of your guys who's been there for not like a very long time, but a decently long time. He's been there since, I think, 2020. So that will definitely suck to lose him. It makes that blue line a little bit questionable. I think, again, like if you have Krug in there, that like slides, Ryan Suter out of the lineup most likely. But with Krug being hurt, they really don't have a lot of choices there. I like the top 4. Perunovich always had a rough go of things. Hopefully, with this opportunity, he will be able to rejuvenate himself. Broberg, again, from the offer sheet, him and Holloway, as I said when I made those videos, aren't game-changing, but they're still pretty good moves that kind of bolster this team's young depth a little bit. So hopefully Broberg can fit in well as a second-pairing guy. Parayko and Falk, we know what they can do. There's been trade rumors of them being moved potentially, so if the Blues start off slow, again, I wouldn't rule out the fact that they're just going to flip him and let him go somewhere else. I wouldn't rule that out whatsoever, but I don't have a problem with that defensive core. Just that third pairing of Leddy and Sutter has me questioning some things. So we'll see how that goes. And your goalie tandem is Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer. I like that tandem a lot. Binnington, I think, avoided a lot of controversy last year, had a good year. Hofer definitely had a good rookie season as well. So that's a pretty good tandem. Again, there's people who will doubt and hate Jordan Binnington. But I do think that last year he had a pretty good season. So if he can do that again, I think that's a good go. And if Hofer can take another step, that's also a good thing too. And then you leave yourself in a little bit of a questionable situation. You're like, well, we have Binnington, who's expiring, I think, either next season or the following year. And then you have Hofer, who's like your star, well, maybe not star, but a really good rookie goaltender. Who are we going to keep? What are we going to do? I would imagine they go with Hofer, but that's a problem for another time. Overall, I do think this team is good. I think it's solid. I think Doug Armstrong's going on beast mode with that. That's what my cousin loves to say all the time. He says he's going beast mode. He plays hockey against me, but I feel like Armstrong's going beast mode in the GM table, and I think that, him making that offer sheet is one of the first of many moves he might make to make this team a contender, and I think Bannister had a really good second half of the season last year as the coach after Berube was let go. So hopefully he can keep that up into this coming season. So let's pull out the Hockey News' yearbook here and read some stuff. They have the Blues projected 7th in the Central Division. Their cup odds are 61-1, and their biggest X factor is Binnington showed once again that he can carry a team on his shoulders, and his play will go a long way in determining whether St. Louis returns to the playoffs this time around. His 16.5 goals saved above average placed him 5th among NHL stoppers according to Money Puck. So again, people love to overlook the fact that Binnington had a pretty good year this past year. He's not like, again, like he's not like one of these star goalies, incredible goalie, but I think that he has become a good goalie as long as he stays out of controversy. Like in 2022-23, that was a rough year for him with fighting Marc-Andre Fleury, those things against the Sharks. That might have been 2 years ago. But anyways, he has a history of getting himself involved in things, and I think if he can limit that like he did this past year, I think he can have a good season. So we'll see what Binnington can do there. But again, that's probably one of your biggest X factors. And then the other one's got to be like, how is this some of the young guys going to do? Because this team, even though it has their old guys mixed in there, it has a lot of the youth moving in, like Boldu, Holloway's coming up, Broberg, obviously. Peronovich is still relatively young, and then, of course, Joel Hofer. I don't know. St. Louis can maybe break in with this younger roster. Again, there's still some old pieces in there that do make you have some questions. But I don't know. I have them probably outside of the playoffs, but I do think they'll come close. I think there's some people that are underrating them a little bit, and, you know, that's never good to do. But honestly, I think that they'll be a good team this year. They'll be fun to watch. Just a matter of, can they have a good start to the season and can they break into the playoffs? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the St. Louis Blues. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. We are coming relatively close to 2.9K, and we're going to get to 3,000 hopefully by like the end of October, beginning of November. So I'm really looking forward to doing that and getting there because it's been a grind trying to get there. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.